I brought Moet. I advise you guys, get a vibrator, get a dildo. Do not run outside when you get out of a relationship and just jump on the first person you see. Don't do it. Ew. And I just had to tell her, I was just like, yo, he sent me a screenshot. He's threatening to put a video online about me and like we were having sex. She was like, oh, he did that to me too. I'll be damned. Wish you guys were here. I would pour you guys a glass and we could just drink and talk about this together. Well, at least I'm entertaining. Hey guys, my name is Connie Joy and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new here, welcome back. In today's Liberated Femme video, I am going to continue my toxic dating relationship series. But since we are still in the month of October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I have another story to share with you guys that is related to domestic violence. Since I have already set the tone for my Liberated Femme videos, I come prepared. And I hope you guys did too. So I don't plan on this video being a part 1 and part 2. I think it's just gonna be one video, but just in case this gets a little long, you know, get yourself a bottle, come prepared, you know, get cozy, get your like pajamas on, get some slippers on, you know, wrap your hair, get in bed, get cozy, get yourself a bottle. The tone of this story is actually, it's so scandalous, so deceptive, so insane. I don't even think I'm gonna cry, to be completely honest, not because it wasn't a terrible, terrible thing, but because it was so crazy that I was just left in shock at the end of it. The end of it, I was really just like, at the end of it, I was literally crawling hands and knees like out of this one, like, whew, this one almost got me on anxiety meds again. Almost, like I was this close to calling my doctor and saying, yo, you know what, you might just want to refill that prescription. I've been off it for like, you know, a year, you know, just in case. It's that kind of intense of a story. I come prepared. But because this is more of a scandalous story, I didn't bring Ciroc. I brought Moet. And like it matches my outfit too. Okay, so let's open this. All right, let's get into the story. So, how we met. I actually knew this guy all my life, actually. Correction. I did not know this guy, I knew of this guy. I wouldn't say he was a childhood friend, he was just a kid that everybody knew because he like had relatives in the same area. We did go to elementary school together, but other than that, like right after elementary school, like he moved or either I'm not gonna sit up here and not like, either he moved or what happened was that was when he went to jail. During the time that I got to know this guy, he did disclose with me that he did go to jail after elementary school. He never told me what he went to jail for, but he did let me know that he did go to jail and he did like 5 years. Willow Grove is a very, very small town and everybody talks. And so you always know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Like you always know somebody's business. It's a small town, everybody talks. Like it was like known in the town that like he went to jail. When you went to jail, everybody knew where you went, you know what I'm saying? That's what happened because I remember him not going to junior high or high school with us. So I know he went to school somewhere else. So we had always known each other and we had always been friends on social media. And I had just got out of a 2-year nightmare relationship. And I guess this would have been the rebound. My codependent self, no matter how terrible a relationship is, when I get out of the relationship, I I just walk right back into the same stupid stuff. And like, some people get out of a relationship and they for the first few months, they pretend to be so street smart, be so relationship savvy, just be a guru, and know when garbage is walking down the street. Well, I just go out like Mary Poppins, like, yeah, I'm gonna go find a new one and he's not gonna break my heart. My naivete has always gotten me in lots of trouble. But I just thought to myself, I'm not in a position to judge anybody, because I still kept thinking like that. This was recent. This was like 2 years ago. I was so embarrassed. I never thought I was gonna ever tell the story, but here we are. Finally got the guts, finally got the balls. I'm kind of nervous right now because I have, the metal piece off, and I'm kind of scared that it's gonna fly off and pop, so I'm trying to concentrate, but I'm also nervous. All right, let me just get this over with. Let's just get this over with. Maybe with the drink, I'll be able to concentrate better. Oh God, it's coming off, it's coming off. Oh God, I'm scared. Oh God, it's coming off, the pressure. Oh my God, the pressure. Oh my God, it's coming out. Oh my God. All right. Come on. Oh my God, I'm so dramatic. Oh my God, I'm so dramatic. Oh my God. Well, at least I'm entertaining, okay? All right. Wish you guys were here. I would pour you guys a glass and we could just drink and talk about this together. So we met. Pull it up. So basically, we were always friends on social media, but we didn't actually talk to each other on social media. It's kind of weird, like, how that happens. You have mutual friends, and that's why you become friends, but you never really speak to each other. You like and whatnot. But then sometimes, often he would like a bunch of my pictures, and that would get my attention. I don't know what I thought I was doing, because we were never an actual official item. We were never an actual committed relationship. I'm gonna call this what it was, basically a rebound, because I was single and got out of a relationship and should have been sitting my butt still, but no, I wanted to run around the streets and thought around. So. You have to sip this. I tried to take a gulp. I am used to a Ciroc. I'm used to Ciroc. I have to sip this? Oh God. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so he was always flirting with me on social media, and when I got single, I did message him and let him know because he was interested in me. And I have all of the DMs, and I will be showing you guys all of that. So won't be exposing who it is because, I'm not going to, for obvious reasons. You can see through the DMs, literally from the very beginning, that there was a mutual conversation going on back and forth that he was interested in me. So when I became single, I messaged him and I told him I was single, and he was like, I'm single too. And I was like, oh wow, it's perfect. So I knew that he had kids. I knew he had 2 baby moms, and that was fine, didn't care, that never bothers me. On our very first date, we went to South Street, and he just started going into his finances and conversation, and that basically led up to, I don't have money for this date. So I was just like, oh my God, why do I keep getting the broke ones? Oh my God, why? What have I done? Like, what did I do? Well, then he discloses with me that he's so broke because he spends so much money on paying child support. He has this verbal agreement with one of his children's mother that he is to give her X amount of dollars, and it's like bleeding him dry. So the reason why he was so broke was because of how much he's paying in child support. And then he went on to say that he's not allowed to see his child, and that the mother of his child keeps his child from him. So then I started feeling like really bad. He was talking about his child, and I mean, like, he sounded like he loved his child, like genuinely loved him, and he even started to tear up and his voice started to crack. And then I was just like, well, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm not gonna judge him based upon his financial circumstances. I'm gonna see past that and see that he's a good guy. So I did. Well, let's just jump right into it, because this situation only lasted, I want to say the whole thing from beginning to end was 60 days from the beginning to the middle to the end, and the end being in court. So we're kicking it, hanging out. It's been made very, very clear. You will see in the messages, in the DMs, it's been made very, very clear that this is not just platonic. This is stepping stones to a real relationship. And he even talks about in these messages to me that he's willing to relocate to New Jersey. I used to be so naive that I would believe women would make up all types of things. And hey, there are women who will make up all types of things. But there is no decent, level-headed, good woman chasing her tail for no reason at all. This is actually really strong for some champagne. Like, it's pretty strong, actually. We really couldn't do anything or go anywhere unless I paid for it. So I had to pay for all of our dates. So that kind of like sucked the romance out of this. But everything was always about the child, his son, his son, his son, his son. I had no reason to not believe him. I just saw this genuine heartbroken man. One day he said, you know, I don't even have lunch money. Can you please order me lunch and send it to such and such address? So I was like, of course, no problem, sure. So I call in his lunch. He asked for a buffalo wing, like a cheesesteak, and like a Pepsi. I think like even a little pizza, like a small pizza. He asked for a bunch of stuff, like cheese fries. He asked for a bunch of stuff. And I was like, no problem, sure, whatever. He's a grown man, he has to eat. Cause you know, he works. He does like construction. So no problem, have it sent to this address in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania. Well, he lives in Pennsylvania anyway, so what do I know? I mean, he's at work anyway, so I just assume that he's working at this location. No problem. So finally it got to the point where he was ready to take legal action to get what he wanted when it came to a relationship with his child. So, you know, he came to me talking to me about it. So I was like, you know what, I actually know a lawyer. I know a lawyer that I used for someone else. I had an ex that I actually helped with the same kind of thing, and this was the lawyer that he used, so I did know of a lawyer in Pennsylvania or in Philly. So I let him know that. So he was like, great, whatever, sure, that's great, great. So because of his schedule, he worked apparently like 7 days a week, he was not able to ever go down and actually consult with the lawyer. So he's crying to me, and I mean like, he would disappear for a few days at a time and then hit me up crying on the phone, crying about his son. So I just finally took the initiative and I said, you know what, honestly, like, you're such a broken mess. Do you want me to go and meet with the lawyer for you? Like, I can go get like the application or whatever it is, like the documents. And he was like, yeah, sure. So I went and did that. I went, it all stopped, you know. Reality just set in, the dumb stuff that I did. I took myself down to Center City, paid my good old toll and crossed that bridge, and met with the lawyer. Again, different guy though, different guy this time. Same lawyer, different guy. Kids that don't even belong to me. So I met with him, went over everything, and then he's telling me about, you know, as soon as such and such pays the application fee, we can get a court date. So I said, yeah, sure, whatever, what's the application fee? Because I'm gonna let him know. So he tells me it's like $120. Okay, sure, no problem. Nice seeing you again. I'm gonna let him know, and you know, we'll be in touch. So I let, you know, the guy know. He's like, sure, no problem, whatever, sure, you know, I can get that, I got that. So, and this guy was actually very, very famous for always flaunting on social media that he had loads of money. He had it. He was flossing. That's pretty much the image he gave to social media. He was very, 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 very narcissistic, and I don't mean that in the way I really do actually mean like he was narcissistic. There was just so much else surrounding him, so many other problems that like his narcissism really I didn't pay attention to it until the end. I didn't really have any sense of direction because there was so much crap going on in different directions when it came to him. So I let him know about the application fee and how he's gotta, you know, pay for it to get started and all that stuff, and everything's fine, cool, whatever. So what ended up happening was he gave me the complete total runaround when it came to paying his application fee, and the lawyer kept on calling me and texting me and wanting to know what's going on because the guy kept on standing the lawyer up. He kept on making appointments to come and meet him and pay the fee and get the application process started and get the court date, but he just kept falling. He just kept dropping the ball. So the lawyer kept on like calling me. So I was beginning to get like, look, I don't want this lawyer to not take you seriously, but lawyers, you know, if you don't pay them, they don't want to do a job. They won't do a job. If you don't pay him, he will leave. And I didn't want him to lose out on this, but he was so depressed. He was so depressed. He was acting so depressed that it was almost like he wasn't even making smart decisions for himself. So I was just like, either you really do want this or you're so depressed that you need to go see a therapist instead and get your head together and then maybe do this in the future. So he said to me one day, he was just like, can you please, like, can you front it? Can you just give him the money and I'll give it back to you? Well, that was all I needed to hear. If you're telling me you're gonna give me the money back, I believe you. I mean, like, all right. At the same exact time, I had $120 that I could afford to lose. So I thought anyway. It wasn't like, I wouldn't have used it and spent it if I couldn't afford to lose it. And I had that in the back of my mind anyway, but I still wanted him to promise to give it back so I could kind of hold him to it. I knew that based on like the kind of guy he was, that he wouldn't want to be called like a snake. He wouldn't want to be called like, you know, some just dog who just snatches money from girls, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew he wouldn't like that label. So when he said he was going to give it back, you know, we're barely like, dude, we're like, just this really is pretty platonic. I mean, my feelings are involved, but dude, like, just give it back. It's not that deep. That's how I felt about the situation, so I didn't mind. So I spent the money on it. I got the application process started, and he got a court date. So this is when things started getting very, very, very strange and weird. So he started telling me more and more about his son's mom. And he said that like she was insane and she was crazy, and he even showed me a video of her attacking him. But the video that he showed me looked like it was a phone playing the video, and it was a phone recording that video being played on that phone, and you can hear extra voices being added in the video. And the video was literally, you can tell when you see the video that it was made by somebody that purposely made the video. It wasn't like, oh my god, what a coincidence, my phone was recording when you kicked me, or you know what I'm saying? Like, no, it was set up that way. He was just talking in so many circles around the evidence that he had against this woman that it would distract you from the actual evidence. And when you looked at the facts, there weren't really any. It was literally so much stuff fabricated. But why would he lie? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would somebody lie about anything like that? This is a man who's just heartbroken, and he really wants to get his child. He wants to see his son. He wants to be a part of his son's life. And my heart ached for that, because I'm a single mom who has 2 boys who don't have fathers. And to see somebody, you know, feel like that about a child, you know, that did something to me. And I felt like, you know, I'm supposed to be helping him. So I did. I felt like that was the right thing to do. So I helped him in any way that I could. He said that he had a restraining order against his son's mother, and the video that got him the restraining order that he showed me, I looked at it like, I can't believe they give you a restraining order with this. This doesn't even look like, I can't even see who it is. Like, I was actually like, wow, that's all they want? That's all Pennsylvania wants? Because I got my first restraining order, well, actually, I got my first restraining order with my word, actually, yes. I had nothing to support me when I got my first restraining order in Pennsylvania. So, no shade against Pennsylvania, but all I'm gonna say is basically, you can get a restraining order against somebody you have never even met before. They really just give them things out to anybody. That's probably why they're only temporary and they only last for 3 years. You know, the story that he's painted against this woman is that like, she's just a monster. She's a monster. And he had this evidence to prove it. So he really wanted to make sure that he could paint this woman as the devil and that she was very unfit. He started getting into what his goal really was with going to court, and it was that he wanted to get full custody of his son. You have to really prove that a mother is unfit for the court to deem her unfit and take that child from her. And the court will really do anything and everything they can in their power not to separate the mother from the child. And unless you can prove that she is mentally unstable or that she's on drugs, you cannot separate the mother from the child. Because I went and I filed everything for him with the lawyer to get his court date, I actually had all of the original documents of everything. I had everything, like the police reports that he had, because they were always like these random altercations that he would have. And he was the type of person actually like where I could see afterwards that he was tit for tat, and that if you blinked at him, he was the kind of guy who's gonna call the cops just to get it documented so he would have it on record. He was that type of person. So he was very, what's the word I'm looking for? He was very confrontational, very confrontational. He was very insecure. He made it, he tried to make it seem like he wasn't insecure, but he was very deeply, disgustingly insecure, very insecure. But I was in a really dark place and I did a lot of dumb things, and that's how I got there, you know? Like, this is just a reflection of how stupid I can be and how bad of mistakes I can make. But I still didn't want to judge him because, you know, bad things happen, life happens, life gets rough, you know? So anyway, we're gonna get to the reflection part after I tell you about all the bad stuff. Let me get into it. He started devising his plan. So he said to me, his court date was coming up, and he said to me, can you impersonate someone from the court and call my son's mother and tell her that I am willing to drop the charges that I have against her if she will give me full custody of our son. And my whole knight in shining armor, this is just a great father who just wants his boys so much. That whole entire, I was like, wait, what? What did you want me to do? What did you say? You want me to do what? He wanted me to call his son's mother and lie and impersonate someone from the court system, saying that there was basically this deal on the table, and that because, oh crap, I forgot that. Oh my God, I forgot that. That's so important. Okay, so the reason why it was so important that's why this dude is such a fucking monster. Excuse my language, he's such a monster. He's such a monster. The reason why it was so important that I call her and tell her this was because she had a criminal record, and if he pressed charges against her for some random altercation that I'm convinced he lied up and created up anyway to call the police on her, if he pressed charges against her, she would go to prison. She would go to jail for it because she is out on parole. It was so important to him that I called her to lie to her, but to scare her into giving up her rights to her child so he would have full custody of this child. That for me was when I was just like, okay, something is wrong with him. Something is really wrong with him. I said, but if you have all this evidence to prove that she's unfit, why would you want me or need me to call her and lie to her, to scare her into giving up her child to you? What kind of father do you think you actually are doing that? That's disgusting. I don't know if a child would see that as an act of love. When he asked me to basically set this woman up, that's when I was just like, all right, this is not gonna work out. As a mother and as someone that was in foster care, like my maternal instincts were like, yeah, that's where I draw the line. I can't do that for you. And that's when I started to like really start thinking about everything that he had ever told me. And I got like really like worried for this woman that she was gonna end up losing her child, even though it would be, you know, the biological father. That would actually be her losing her child. I felt like I had to do something because this was just like really bizarre and insane. And when I started like thinking and trying to put the pieces together, and I didn't know much, but I did know that he was trying to set her up. He was really trying to set her up. I went back because he'd emailed me the video that I told you guys about. He emailed me that video, and he asked me to email it to the lawyer because he wanted it to help with his case. So I watched that video over and over and over, and I could not make any sense of it. And I was just like, I just can't believe they gave him a restraining order against her with this. I went through the documents that I had, and I got her number out, and I decided to call her. I waited until the next day after he had asked me to call her, and I called her. I called her twice and she didn't answer, and then I sent her a text message and I said, hey, you don't know me, but I think you should call me, it's really important. Ooh, this is starting to set in. That just made my chest burn. Whew, not yet, slow down, not yet. A few hours later, she called me back. So I told her basically everything, and she told me her version of the story, which was that, like, I don't want to give away too many details because the purpose of the story is not to like expose anything that like she's told me, but basically she told me information that made him out, like basically everything he was saying was a lie. So first of all, first things first, that man wasn't even single. Not only was he not single, he lived at home with his fiance. He lived at home with his fiance that he had 2 children with, and who was actually pregnant with his 4th child. So his other kid's mother, he had the 1 son with. And it all started making sense to me. So when I tell you guys, the story, I tell you like in the event as it happened, but then like what I know now too, now I'm adding that part in. But we could never go to his house. Every time I would say, let's go to your house, because why do I want to hang out in my house all the time in Jersey? I like to get out. I would always say let's go to your house, and he would say, oh, it's a mess at my house. He would always have an excuse as to why not. And I worked overnight at the time, so hours for me were different than hours for him. So there wasn't really like a consistency or an inconsistency with the time of day when we would talk on the phone or text. So there wasn't a lot to go on based on that. So it was very surprising to me that he lived at home with his own fiance that he had 2.5 kids with. That was well, okay. To be truly honest, I wasn't butthurt about that. I really wasn't, because it was so early. I wasn't my feelings weren't hurt. I was just like, oh, regular dog. Oh well, whatever happens. All right, whatever. It was so early that it was just like, I'm gonna be okay, don't you worry. I'm going to bounce back and be just fine. Don't you worry about a thing. Connie will bounce back and Connie will be just fine. I wasn't worried about that at all. But I found out that he was bipolar. I don't want to sound disingenuous when I talk about his state of mental being. I'm just bringing it up because this is someone who never mentioned having bipolar disorder whatsoever. And to my knowledge, this person was not treating himself for his bipolar disorder. So no, he cannot help that he had the disorder, but I hold him responsible for not actually prioritizing his mental health first. And it played a huge part in his behavior during the time that I knew him. And that made a lot of sense with the conversations that we did have on the phone. A lot of the times when I would talk to him on the phone, he would bounce from topic to topic, and he would go from these really extreme, excited episodes, and then he would go to these really deeply sad episodes. When I told you guys about how he would be gone, he would disappear for a few days at a time, and he would be crying to me about missing his child, missing his son. He would be deeply depressed, and it would be to the extent and the extreme that I really truly believed him. And you know what I mean? people that have mental disorders like that, you know, sometimes they don't even know. They don't even not, they believe themselves. So, of course, it's easy for somebody who doesn't know that they have that to be sucked in. There would be times where he would, and you'll see in the messages, he would hit me up and be like, let's take a trip. Let's take let's take a trip. And I'm not saying that I'm like, you know, I mean, I can take a trip, but for somebody you just met, I'm not really trying to fly somewhere with somebody that I don't really know. Like, I definitely entertain the idea of it because I did not mind going on a vacation, but somewhere like really, really local, like, you know, AC, maybe New York, not like trying to fly out the country with you because I don't know you like that. So he really basically, he was very flighty. He had some very flighty ideas. And with the rise of these flights he would take on, he would literally plummet within hours. So he would have this crazy idea to do something, and it wouldn't really be crazy, but it would just be financially out of his means. So obviously it sounds crazy when you can't afford to do it. So he would have these crazy ideas and have this, suddenly have money for it. And then when I would actually follow up with him to follow through, the idea would go out the window. So the bipolar diagnosis, there were definitely symptoms that he exhibited that I witnessed that I would definitely, you know, I could say, yeah, he did that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I witnessed that. Yeah, very plausible. Could be. So, I found out about the fiance, I found out about the bipolar disorder. I found out about, I'm not gonna go into the details, but basically, how the mother of his son even got, you know, ever went to prison. It was related to him and it wasn't her fault. I'll just leave it at that. So he basically would just ruin every woman in his path, and he had his special ones that he procreated with that he just did extra special cruel shit to. So he would ruin them basically. He basically ruined women to the point where they couldn't do anything and couldn't go anywhere, and they were trapped and stuck, literally broken down. It was disclosed to me in that conversation that I had with this young woman that he was domestically violent to his fiance. And even without her telling me that, I found out later down the road from a detective that had to serve him with the warrant to search his house and to serve him with the temporary restraining order. I found out from the detective that served him with that, he told me on the phone, he was like, I just arrested this guy literally less than 3 months ago. He beat the crap out of his girlfriend. And I was just like, I already knew this, but to hear a cop say that, it's just like, it makes you very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Now, obviously, cops are seasoned. They've seen all types of beatings. They've seen all types of things. But for a cop, the way that he said it, the tone that he used, and the way that he like belted out that sentence, like the shock that this dude that I just arrested didn't get the picture. How is he even still out? How did he get out? The confusion in that man's voice made me uneasy and so just nerve-wracked. We'll get into why I had to get a restraining order. During the time that I was on the phone with this girl, her mom even got on the phone and was talking to me, and she said that, you know, she felt like I was an angel because I was doing the right thing, and that I came to try and help and stop this because I had no idea that I was a part of something like that. I had no idea. I did not know what I was doing. I had no idea. And I wanted to make sure that I can make it right or try to help make it right before it was too late because, like, come on, like, what kind of woman did he think I was? Like, you knew you were spinning me these BS lies, but you knew that you were tugging at my heartstrings, and that's the real reason why I was helping in the first place. So a decent woman's not gonna sit up here and help you embellish lies to cost. No, nobody does. Decent, we don't. I don't. I don't know about women, but I don't. So during this time, she did text this dude and let him know that she got a phone call from an 856 number. Now, they all live in Philly, I live in Jersey. Obviously, he's gonna know it was me. He's gonna know it was me. He didn't think I would do something like that, but he's gonna know it was me. It's mouth-watering, it's very good. Before she called me back was when she sent this text message to him and told him that she got a phone call from an 856 number. So then she went on, I think, to give him the rest of the number, and he told her to block me. During this time, once he got that notification that I reached out to her, he knew what I was up to immediately. I just want to make sure that we are completely up to speed and everyone is on the right track. So basically, so far you know that I was dealing with this guy. He asked me to help him basically lie to convince his son's mother to give up her rights to her child on her own, because he knew that the court system would actually never take the child from her. He wanted to trap her, and he wanted me to help him trap her. And during the time that I reached out to this young woman, before she reached back out to me the same day, she let him know that someone from an 856 number reached out to her. And seeing as though this guy didn't know anyone else in Jersey, he knew that it was me. This is when the hell began. So we're not gonna get into details, but basically we were intimate, obviously. Well, not obviously, because everybody doesn't do that in less than 2 months. But we were intimate because I was younger and dumber and hormones were raging, so. And finally I was single, I was free. What? I was free. No, I'm gonna be honest, I was free. I was out of a 2-year nightmare. I was free. I was free, and I want you guys to take this as an example. I advise you guys, get a vibrator, get a dildo. Do not run outside when you get out of a relationship and just jump on the first person you see. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I mean that in the most respectable way. AdamandEve.com. This is not sponsored. Just get a battery operated boyfriend. You do not need, just don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. It wasn't worth it. It really wasn't worth it. I remember this one time that we slept together, and it always stayed with me, and I didn't know why, but it always just did. And I was in a compromising position. I'll just say that. I was in a compromising position, and he got a phone call on his phone. And I didn't hear it ring, it was just vibrating, and I saw it flashing. He didn't answer the phone, he rejected the phone call. And it was during the day too. It was during the day, but it was in my room, and I only have one window in my room, and I have curtains up and all that, so I have these blackout curtains. I had these blackout curtains at the time, so you could still, light was still getting in, a little bit of light was still getting in, but so it was kind of dark in my room, but it was bright enough that you could actually still see, obviously, because it was during the day. All I remember is he got a call that day, and from what I remember, he rejected the call, and that was that. But I always remember that, it always stayed with me. During the time that I'm actually on the phone talking to this girl, I get a text message from him. The text message is a screenshot of me bent over in a compromising position, and it's a screenshot, and you can see the beginning and the end of the video, the length. It was less than a minute, if that, and it was froze, he paused it, and you could see the side of my face, and obviously I was in the nude, and you could see that it was a video. The caption said, "Stop playing like I don't got videos. I'll upload these." Yo, my little heart was just so shattered. I was just oh my God, I have never, my God. I can't even remember how, I just know. I remember mentally. I'm so glad I don't remember physically how bad that moment was. But I was the adrenaline started rushing. I started pacing. And I told her, I was just yo, he just sent me a screenshot of a video of me. And I didn't want to tell her those type of details, because we hadn't really talked about those kind of details. She was just telling me information. I was just sucking it all in because I had told her everything that I knew about what he was trying to do, and she was defending herself. So I didn't really go into the details about what we were doing. And I just had to tell her, I was just like, yo, he sent me a screenshot. He's threatening to put a video online about me and like we were having sex. And she said to me, she was like, oh, he did that to me too. And I was like, well, what did you do? And she was like, nothing. And I was just like, what? I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, like, you know, I don't have that great of a reputation, but like, it's not that bad. It isn't that, it's not that, that's a whole different thing. My reputation is, you know, just like, I don't really know. People just don't really like me, I don't really know, whatever. My reputation was worth a lot more than, and he knew that. When I heard her tell me that he had done the same thing to her, I was just like, this man is a damn monster. He's a monster. I know that he's a wife beater. He beats on women, beats the crap out of women. He exploits. He is willing to exploit women with sexual videos that they're not even aware are being filmed. All I could think back to was when he got that caught. All I kept thinking back to was that had to be when. That had to be when it happened. When the video was very, very short. Very, very short, but just long enough to capture everything about me that if someone saw it, they would know it was me. And I just kept like, it was happening so fast and it was unraveling out of control. And I was just like, I don't even freaking really know this guy. And look at this, this is a nightmare. This is a whole nightmare. So once I found that out, I was just like, all right, I'm going to the, yes. I don't abide by any street code where you just sit up here and let a man dog you out and rip you apart and not no, I don't abide by street code. Yeah, I go to the cops. Yeah, I call the police.
I am not for the streets and I do not live by any toxic street codes.
I'm one of those types of people. You're not about to sit up here and explain with a video, a sex video, that I did not consent to even being recorded. I'll be damned. So I took my behind right over to the cops, told them what happened. I made the police report. Then I had to go downtown to Camden and go before a hearing officer. And when I went before the hearing officer, he was a really, really stocky, very militant, he had this very masculine demeanor, but he was just not soft, not kind, nothing. And if you've ever been before a hearing officer, you know that they drill you. They talk to you like they don't believe nothing that you're saying. And that's because too many people come in there and lie and get restraining orders against innocent people, which is exactly what happened to the young woman that I was speaking to. Pennsylvania is something else. Y'all know you off. Please. Anybody can get a restraining order. Pennsylvania, ew. Anyway, so nothing against the state, but like your court system, ew. I had my youngest son Joshua with me. He was, I want to say maybe like 4 or 5 maybe. And he was in a sleeper because Joshua, my youngest son, both my boys have autism. But my youngest son Joshua, he has a sensory processing disorder too. So he's very, very particular about what he wears, when he wears it, and for whatever reason is up to him. So that day he was not going to put on clothes. He wanted to wear his sleeper. So he had on his Ninja Turtle sleeper. And he had shoes on top of it. And the hearing officer, like, he was drilling me, like he was asking me everything. He was basically playing devil's advocate, which is his job to do. He has to make sure that this is really serious. So I showed him everything that I could show him to prove my case. And finally, he asked me about Joshua. He randomly asked me about Joshua and he said, you know, I like his pajamas. And I said, yeah, you know, he's autism, so some days it's hard to get him to change. I suppose sometimes he just doesn't want to get out of his pajamas. So he looked at me and he said, I have a little one and he has autism too. And his eyes just like filled with the most sincere smile. Like, you know what I mean? Like when somebody looks at you and they smile with their eyes, he smiled at me. And he was suddenly just so attached with Joshua. Only a few more moments we were in there, but he had made such a connection with Joshua just because of the fact that, you know, he had autism. And he went on to ask me about, you know, our situation. Was I, you know, unfortunately, obviously I was single now. I was single then, but you know, that he knew that I was a single mom and that both my kids had autism, and you know, listening to everything that I was telling him, it just must have hit him in a different way. That like, you know, I genuinely tried to help somebody because I cared, and here I am now needing to get a restraining order against them because I cared, because they're crazy. He connected with him, and before we left, this was before COVID-19, he shook Joshua's hand, and Joshua doesn't take to anybody. Like, if he likes you, you're very special to him. You're very special to him. But to this guy, that moment, it mattered. It really did matter. He felt that I needed the temporary restraining order, so I went before a judge, temporary restraining order put in place, and they did. And they told me it would be about 48 hours before he would be served. So I was in this guy's car one day, and I saw a gun in his glove compartment. And my simple self is, well, because this guy, he's been to jail, I just assumed that he was one of those street smart, law smart guys now. This is probably definitely registered and legal. It's probably definitely his because he's not stupid. Why would he ever put himself in a position to ever get in trouble again? Right? Well, when I saw the gun, I knew he had a gun. So when I got the temporary restraining order, they had a warrant to go get the gun. So while I was waiting, since I was in New Jersey and he was in Pennsylvania, the restraining order had to be faxed over and then served. Well, from the time that he sent me that text message of the screenshot to the time that I went and got the temporary restraining order put in place, which was the same day, I blocked his number, and I told him before I blocked him not to ever contact me again. And as I blocked him, I don't know what it is, but as soon as you block somebody, I feel like the first 3 or 4 text messages still get by. They just get through. They got through. And he was just going on and on and on. You're trying to break me and my baby mom up, and I'm sitting here like, dude, are you insane? This is the woman that you just told me to sit up here and like lie to get you. What? You're trying to get her put in jail. What is wrong with you? And obviously, when things like this happen, the guy goes back to the girl and tries to convince her that, you know, I'm insane and crazy, and tries to get that girl to turn against me because, you know, that's just what they do. So that's what he was trying to do. And she was just way smarter than that. I think he had done enough to her that she was smarter than that. And she knew him well enough. And I could tell that this probably wasn't the first time that, you know, she blocked a number because she got a call from a girl about him. Maybe not pertaining to the same situation, but probably obviously because he's a cheater. Which was the least of his concerns. I mean, like, he's in a lot more things were going on. Like, on the scale of the good and the bad, the cheating was like really like the best of it all. I'm glad there were other women involved because I can't imagine what it would have been like to have him full time. It was a nightmare having him only like per diem. But me and my big heart just want to be such a saint, just want to save everybody. God, stop it. During this time, while I was waiting for him to actually get served with the restraining order, he went and downloaded this app called Text Now, and they give you a number where you can text and call other people, but they can't trace it back to you because it's not in your name, it's just an app. So he downloaded this app and was contacting me through this app, sending me pictures of himself and his baby mom together. And I'm just sitting here looking at these pictures like, why? It's insulting. Like, wow. I mean, I understand. I guess I'm so codependent that I never made you actually get to know me, but it's insulting that you really think that I'm upset because you're with other women. You really don't know me. Because if you thought that was my weakness, he thought he was doing something. He really thought he was doing something. He really did. So, but he was doing this because he was trying to taunt me and get me to respond to it. Because he wanted me to fight with him. He wanted a fight. He wanted a fight. Now, he did not know that I actually went to the police at all because Otherwise, he would have probably just stopped bothering me. But he didn't know. So I knew that I was getting a better read on exactly what kind of man he really was, truly, based on his actions leading up to the fact that he got served. So he kept doing it. I'm sitting here blocking all these different numbers from a dang app that are contacting me, and it was just ridiculous. And I was just like, oh my God, Connie, you gotta stop. You gotta start thinking things through. I only did this because I was like, we were like acquainted. I didn't know he was crazy. I did not know. I didn't know. And I didn't think that somebody that knew you that closely for such a short amount of time would do such an insane thing like that to you. Like, you barely know me. Like, it's different when you have kids with somebody. And I'm not saying that I'm that kind of baby mom, because you can ask my kids' fathers. I'm not that kind of baby mom. I don't care if I do not care if we have kids together. I don't care. Like, I don't have a special alliance or loyalty to somebody that I made kids with. I just don't. Because when you don't care about my kid, then we're automatically enemies. That's just how I feel. So I just personally don't know why he would go to such extremes and lengths to do the things that he did, because I don't have any special loyalty to you. What makes you think you can get away with that? Like, did you really think you were gonna get away? Like, you did, obviously. No, that's funny. No, that's actually funny. Obviously you did. Whew. So, during the time that she and I were on the phone, he called her over and over again, and finally she was just like, I'm gonna put us on three-way, put your phone on mute, and I'm gonna ask him about you. So, as far as she knew, to his knowledge, she didn't know any details because he told her to block me, and she listened, far as he knew. So he had iPhone and we both had Android, but iPhone could see, like, you can see when you're on like a conference call. So he knew that somebody was listening, but she told him that it was her cousin or her friend, and he was just so out of his mind. He wasn't even paying attention, because she told him that she was obviously not listening and she was on mute, and she told him, well, I'll call you back, and he said no. So he knew someone was on the line listening, potentially listening, and didn't care about how foul he was about to sound. So the audio that I have this very audio, and I always held on to it because I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I use this audio and I use it in court. And this audio was really what helped me win my case. I mean, I had the proof, I had the screenshot, I had, what he said to me, but the audio gave the judge an idea of what kind of person he was character-wise. And he painted himself so ugly. I'm gonna let you guys listen to the audio, and it's very explicit, He uses very derogatory terms to describe me, and he is very, very honest about his intentions. And I'm gonna show you guys the messages. You can pair and put together. You can tell based on, this wasn't some guy that I was just chasing and that I just wanted and couldn't have or anything like that. This was a guy that he pursued me, and I finally gave him the chance. And I was here for one reason and for one reason only, which was to be in a committed, relationship at some point. And I was here for good intentions. And I was here helping him because I thought that that was what I was supposed to do, and my heart was in the right place. It was just with the wrong person.
Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself for the most toxic thing you might set your eyes on today. I welcome you to the audio of the slander and slaying of my name. I also took extra special time to type the subtitles for each and every word that this gentleman used, because I want to make sure that everybody doesn't miss a beat. Also, if you feel like the text is not long enough, it's not being presented long enough for you, just pause it, read it, and then press play. I'll see you at the end.
Did you do what I told you earlier? You blocked that dumbass bitch too?
Yeah, I blocked her.
Thank you, yo. She mad. Like, she probably gonna try to touch. What you say?
I said, where is it? Why she even texted?
Why she even text you? Oh, because I ain't gonna front, man. I burnt her for a check, and I told her like but she was mad. Remember, I was talking another night. I was like, yo, bitch is really crazy. Like the bitch, like, she be cutting crazy checks. I swear to God, she paid 75 cents for that lawyer.
As you guys can see, I have only paid $120 to his attorney. I never paid any more money than that. I have no idea why this man keeps on talking about me being loaded, unless it's his attempt to actually manipulate this girl into believing that I was a financial opportunity. Therefore, what else was he supposed to do other than take advantage of it?
But the bitch thing got over something, and she got mad that I'm spending time with my baby mom.
I'm just gonna drop this evidence right here for you guys to see, and I don't really think it needs any commentary. It's pretty self-explanatory. Liar!
This bitch went ballistic, you feel me? Like ballistic. Even what? She knew what was going on because she knew what was. Ain't no one put her in a situation. She knew what was going on because she the one who went and got the motherfucking lawyer who was going like taking the paperwork and the money down. So she knew the situation. Like it's not like I was like here. She knew certain things.
Quick recap. Here he talks about how he filed charges against his son's mother and that he's trying to get emergency temporary custody of his son. As you can see here, he is mentioning wanting a lawyer, and this is when I referred him. These documents are not big enough for legibility. However, these are the very documents that he sent to me to try and help his case that he wanted me to forward to the lawyer. Keep in mind that all of this is pertaining to the very woman he's lying to on the phone right now. By now you can tell that his goal is to try and keep the conversation on my finances as much as possible. This is just smoke. He's trying to keep her distracted from the facts. You will never hear him say, oh yeah, I was using her to get that lawyer to try and sit here and fabricate a story to get you locked up so I would get custody of our son. That's the fact. These are all the documents. Here's the proof right here. So everything he's saying to her is just to distract her. In this message, he lets me know that his finances are in the gutter. However, he's willing to relocate for me and my kids. Raise your hand if you have ever sent a text message or DM like this. Raise your hand if you've ever received a text message or DM like this. Look at this. Him asking me for help all by himself. I didn't offer, he asked for it. Here's him telling me that he is not going to be able to meet his lawyer and asking me to do it. Take a very close look at this message. This is him himself asking me to help him with his lawyer. Look, I tried to encourage and motivate that man when he needed it. I looked out for him when he was hungry. And I was the footman that did all the work for him when he needed somebody to go consult with his lawyer. I did all the things that I thought that I should do as a decent person. But you gotta also remember, I was being lied to and didn't even know it. I know you guys are probably tired of seeing messages right now of him talking about the lawyer over and over and over again, but I just had to share this with you guys so you guys can actually see for yourself with your own eyes that this is him coming to me on a regular daily basis about his lawyer. He needed me.
You didn't know that about your son then. Like why
You know what?
you didn't know anything about me and my son?
Because she's the one who got me the fucking lawyer. That's how she know. She's the one who went and paid for the lawyer. Like,
And why did you even put her in your business?
because she cut the check. Because she cut the fucking initial check. Like she's the one. That's right. No, you're not even listening to what the fuck I'm saying. She went to his office and gave him the fucking check. Like she's the one. How the fuck would she know? She's the one who was like, I know a lawyer who would do this for such and such. He's a good lawyer. I got it, and I'll pay for it.
Put her on your business.
My motherfucking guy, like you are not digging. Like, yo.
And she's not digging that you put her in your business.
I'm letting you know why she did it, because she was the person who went and got the lawyer and cut that fucking big ass check. And she felt some type of way because I told her, and it's not even because of fucking you, it's because a year ago, it's because she's a fucking weirdo, and I'm just like, she just be weird. And she just like, I don't know, there's not enough money in the world to make me keep being around the bitch. But there's not enough money, like she's a weirdo, real shit. She just cut crazy checks, like, she, She's a weird bitch. Like, she's a fucking weirdo. Like, personality-wise,
Whatever, she's so weird.
because she talks. I don't want to judge the bitch. I think she's weird. Like, yeah. But she do kind of crazy check. Just like that day that she ordered the food to the fucking house.
Look, math has never been my strong area, but I'm beginning to believe that this guy was a lot more broke than he led on to believe. I ordered him lunch one time, and now suddenly I've ordered him lunch every single day, or damn near every single day. Not true at all. But it is nice to know that the one time I ordered him lunch, it went to a good cause. Apparently, I ordered lunch for a very pretty lady. No problem with that. Next time, just ask me to order lunch for your baby mom. I might just say yes.
She ordered me food damn near every fucking day for lunch. Like, real facts. She's a weird bitch, though. Like, she too annoying. She wanna call all, like, she weird, yo.
What's interesting here is, as you can hear and see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears, you can tell that the young woman on the phone, she's not even saying much. And this guy is hanging himself. And during this entire time that he was talking, I was sending her every single message that I'm showing you guys. So basically, we set the stage and let this fool act like a fool.
She a push off, but that is what it is. I just got tired of that shit. Like, the money wasn't worth it, you feel me? Hello? I was honestly trying to pull that shit as long as I fucking could, but like, honestly, like, a lot of this, I called her on three-way, you like, Drees, that bitch weird. Like, just the shit she was saying in conversation, first of all, she a black girl, thinks she 100% white. Like, if I wanted a white girl, I would go get a white girl. She thinks she whiter than a white girl. She make a lot of money. She make like 200 and something grand a year. She is like a handout, bitch. Real shit. She got a good heart too. She's weird. Real right. She'll do anything. It's like, I'm one man, and you tell me why am I taking checks from people? It's the reason, because I'm trying to save up for your birthday, do something for your birthday, and get you a present for your birthday, and check you off every week, and take care of 3 fucking kids, and survive on my own, and travel to work. Like, I'm one man. My money long, but it ain't that long.
So would you like sex or something? Like, that's why she called her.
I don't know. First of all, why the fuck do you even care about that if he is? Like, why do you care about that?
Of all the things I'm showing you guys, I'm actually really embarrassed about this part right here. I'm sharing all of this with you guys just so you can see how much liars really lie. Look, all I'm gonna say is the DMs, the text messages, the tapes, they don't lie.
I really don't give a fuck. Like, honestly, I don't really care. I've been through this shit with you to the max, so I don't know. This shit don't really faze me. This is someone I can't call for extra bread now, you feel me? That's why I was telling you, yeah, I could save money. That's why I got like not a couple thousand, but I got something. I got something.
That bitch is like, she, like,
what you mean? Because he was off? Why are you saying that? Who the fuck? Like, who asked that kind of question? If a chick say, if a chick up there, oh, I make this and that, like, money and that, and you need something, you keep putting your hand out, man, fuck it, I'm gonna fuck around and take that shit, man. I don't care. Like, it ain't no, I'm not wrong, and I would do it again to someone. to the point, at this point in life, man, you want to keep acting like you got it, money ain't nothing, you want to keep asking me for the first couple times, now I'm cool, I got my own money, now you want to keep asking, I'm taking all that shit. What else you got? Like I said, like I told you, bitch keep calling me every day, yo, where you need lunch, wherever I'm at, buy me and my friends lunch. Gee, I'm with that shit, you doing that shit, that's on you. Like, you don't give a fuck about your money, I work for my money, I ain't doing that, so I'm not doing none of that shit, nah, because I know you would, if a motherfucker wanted to cut a check for you, you would take it. So, I'm really not trying to hear that, babe. Fuck it, it's just reverse. This is cutting checks, like what it is. She ain't the only one, but fuck the bitch, she the crazy, I am cool, I don't care about this. I got it, like, real red. I'm a snake, like I'm a snake, fuck it. I'm on my snake shit this summer.
Now, I'm about to show you guys the messages that are like heart-shattering, just devastating, so deceptive. Because the woman he's talking to on the phone, I have to keep on reminding you guys, these messages pertain to her. The whole entire plot was to get this lawyer, set this girl up because she's on probation, set her up, get her arrested, and if she's incarcerated, he could just take the baby. And when she didn't get incarcerated, he came to plan B. And this is when he asked me to break the law, to fabricate blatant lies to help trap this woman. And that's the very reason why I called her in the very first place. This man is a monster. He's disgusting. He's a snake. It's just disgusting. It's so sad because as much as he's explaining to her, he's not here explaining anything to her to help her. He's not explaining anything to her for closure, for her to understand why a random female contacted her, knowing all of this information about her and their child. He's trying to cover his tracks so he can still go on with his plan and keep her blindsided. The moral of all of this is that basically, apparently, homies is out here lying on the kids to get money for their baby mom to celebrate their birthday. Because, you know, you got to get an outfit, you got to go take her out, you got to make sure that, like, you can pay for all your kids because you got 3 of them. You got to make sure you can still go to work, and because your money is long, but it's not that long. So basically, I guess that's what it was. He just, you know, used me up because he needed to get money to take care of his baby mom that he's sitting up here trying to put in jail to get custody of their son. Is that what you guys got? Because that's pretty much what I'm gathering here. Comment down below if you have a better rationale for how any of this made any sense. Like, I just think he didn't care about any of us. Like, maybe the only person he cared about was a child, but like, to a really like limited extent, because who does that to the mother? Who does that? Right now, I want to reflect on everything, because as much as this is comical to me, there was a time where it deeply depressed me. I was such in a dark place. To have only been that closely personal with somebody for less than 60 days, and for them to turn your life around like that in the worst way was devastating. I felt like the ground had been removed from underneath me. And to hear somebody talk about, especially a black man, talk about me wanting to be white like that was personal for me. That was personal for me. I am not a self-hating black woman. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or if you actually watch all my YouTube videos, you know, and anybody who knows me knows that's not true. I grew up in the suburbs. I'm sorry that I walk and talk a certain kind of way. Like, it is what it is. But for him, like, you gotta look at the psychology behind that. This is a black woman he's speaking to on the phone. The same black woman he's sitting up here trying to get arrested and incarcerated so he can get full custody of their child, so he can go take that baby with his other baby mom and his other 2 children, who coincidentally happens to be white. Y'all know I ain't got no problem against race, but his other baby mom is Caucasian. That's why this doesn't make any sense. It's just so ignorant. It's deeply like It's something is really mentally disturbing here. This man has a Caucasian quote-unquote fiance. They have 2 children. I mentioned him having 2 kids with another woman, but I never divulged what her nationality was because I didn't think it was really important. But when I listened to this audio again, I was just like, yo, Home Slice is really off his rocker. He out here calling me a weirdo, but what you're doing is weird. I don't want to curse because there's been enough cursing on this audio, but it's just, I'm just like at that point because like when you think about it as a black woman, like as a real black woman, to be a part of this whole entire thing and see that a black man, a strong black man, obviously he's not strong, I'm using sarcasm, but to see a strong black man sit here and try and deceive the mother of his son, another black woman, try and deceive her against me when all the while he was only in cahoots with me to get a lawyer to try and sit up here and get this woman incarcerated to take custody of their child. You gonna set her up? Like, if she's not that unfit, the law will know it. Like, come on, homie, if she's that unfit, I know there's ways around, but ain't no way. If she's that unfit, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna be able, you don't need to do all that if she's that unfit. That's why we know you're a liar. So, moving forward, yeah, he's gonna deceive her. He used me to help deceive her. Now he's sitting up here kicking my back end to her. But what he did to me is it ain't close to half as bad as what he's trying to do to her. And then all the while, all of this is just so you can go home and play the Brady Bunch with your biracial children and your Caucasian fiance? But you out here calling me a black girl who wants to be white, and if you want a white girl, you can go get one. We know you're sleeping with that white girl. This was so dumb. This all was so stupid. I really thought long and hard on whether or not I was going to add this commentary, but I literally feel like, you know what? I just have to. I just have to, because the entire time when this was going down, I had to be quiet. When I had to wait for him to get served that restraining order, I had to be quiet. When I had to wait to go to court 3 weeks later to get the permanent one in place, I had to be quiet. I had to literally let this man harass me, send me videos, send me photos, text me from different numbers. I had to sit here and keep my mouth closed for all of that and take it. You know what? I mean, I have a suggestion. Maybe next time you shouldn't mess with black girls who think they're white and want to be white so bad. Maybe the ones that don't want to be white, quote unquote, so bad, don't call the cops, don't get restraining orders, don't follow through. Because if we're being honest here, you know, earlier in this video, the reason why the officer that served him with the warrant to search his house and served him with the temporary restraining order, the reason he was so shocked when he called me and he mentioned that he just arrested this dude 3 months ago and that he witnessed this woman beat to a pulp, he was surprised because he couldn't understand, unless she dropped the charges, how he was even free to run the streets to cause more havoc. The man was supposed to be put in jail. He was supposed to never get out, but somebody dropped the charges. And for that very reason, I was like, oh, no. I know you're known for getting out. I know you're known for getting away with this kind of nonsense. You're not going to be able to do this to anybody else without the law being notified. You will never forget what you did. Now you will never forget what you did. It will follow you everywhere. Following this, when I got my restraining order, the judge let him know, you are never allowed to own a firearm ever again for the rest of your life. This restraining order is universal. It means you cannot go anywhere in the country, in the world, and this woman is near you. You must leave. He had to pay a fine to the state of New Jersey, and he had to attend a class about domestic violence that he actually had to pay for. And he said to the judge, but I have kids and a job. How am I supposed to do all that? I forgot what she said. I was just too busy cackling and laughing in my head at this point. Yo, I could have never done any of this if it wasn't for this young woman assisting me. Like, she helped me and she did not have to help me at all. And unfortunately, I'm sure so many women have a story where they've actually had to get a restraining order against a man, and there's been another woman behind the man defending the man to try and protect him when he's blatantly wrong. So my heart has always been with this young woman. And even after court, I approached her and said to her, do you need a ride home? Because I don't think you should ride with him if that's how you got here. Because she didn't lie for him on the stand, and I was afraid for her. I was genuinely afraid for her. Because I was getting away, I was free, I was safe, but she wasn't. I hope and pray to this very day that she's well, and so is her son, and God bless them. Because people don't do what she did for me. That's not a normal thing for people to do in today's world. People are messed up. But she looked beyond herself in the situation and looked out for me. And I will forever be thankful and grateful for that. It honestly just sounds better that you burned a random woman for $1,500 to $1,900 who makes $200,000 annually, opposed to actually sit here and admit that you burned a random girl that you barely even knew for $220 to do all of this to your son's mother. You did all of that for that measly bit of money that no one cared or was pressed about at all. Did all of that. That sounds way worse than the lie. So sure, I'll go with the lie. Let's go with the lie. It does sound better. I think we can all sleep better at night because that does sound like an opportunity. I mean, if you're a snake. Otherwise, you did all that for that measly little bit of money. Ew, you're a roach. I genuinely believe that the reason this man struggled throughout the entire conversation, he struggled to really make sense of why I was so weird in his opinion. And what I believe is that he can't understand how he has gotten away with all of this. He can't understand how someone could genuinely care and barely know him. So he is actually in a state of shock himself, and he can't explain it because he can't explain to this woman, yo, I low-key am like shocked and surprised. I think it's weird that girl's doing all this for me. Well, son, you gotta remember, you also are lying to me. So only person that knows the truth and always knew the truth was him. So of course, yeah, it looks very weird. Especially if you're out here telling people that I'm doing it just out of the kindness of my heart and that we're not dealing with each other. Of course, yeah, that is very weird. And that.
So, I recorded the conversation, but I had no idea that I was going to hear what I heard. And when I played that audio in court, the hearing officer that I went before was in court, and I had no idea he was actually in court. And because you don't pay attention to those people, like you didn't even pay attention to what your judge looks like. You know, you're just trying to keep your head down, keep your eyes low, be in and out, you want to get it over with. But when I played that audio in court, I heard a sniffle, because you know they always have those. They all have those microphones right over those. They have microphones so everyone can hear them. And I heard a sniffle, and I looked up, and it was the hearing officer, this man. I mean, there was nothing soft about this man at all. He was crying because he was in such shock when he heard the audio about what this man was saying about me. He was just like, he was in shock. Like, he didn't say anything, but his reaction to hearing the audio, having seen me come in here with this little boy, be a single mom, and all I wanted was to help a father, a struggling single father with his, help him get custody or partial custody, help him be able to get his rights, see his son. Like, that was the whole, like, I was numb to the whole situation, because it's so, the only way you survive that kind of stuff when you don't go to a therapist is to pretty much suppress it. So I didn't think it was that bad. I knew it was terrible, but I was more embarrassed than I felt. I felt more embarrassed and ashamed versus me feeling like I was a victim and somebody did something terrible to me. I felt like there was something that I could have done differently to have prevented that, but there is nothing I could have done to have foreseen that this is what this man was actually up to. So when the hearing officer was crying, then I just broke and I started crying, and I couldn't stop, because I was just like, it's kind of like the adrenaline of all of it. I didn't stop and think and reflect and take in what really happened to me. I got wounded in war, and I didn't even stop and think about the pain. I had to be reminded about the pain. And when I was reminded how severe what was happening was, then I just started bawling my eyes out. And the very first thing he says in court, because he has no idea that I had this recording, the first thing that he says to the judge was, is it legal to record someone? And she was just like, I forgot what she said, but she said basically, yes, it's legal. In the state of New Jersey, yes, I'm allowed to record a phone call, because I was aware that he was on the phone. I will post, I think I already did it. I already posted in the beginning of this video, but I will post again for you guys to see that I did not break any laws by recording that phone call at all. And basically, she said something to the effect of, that should be the very least of your concerns right now. And the judge was not biased at all, but she just had nothing to go on in this man's defense. And I understand you can't be biased, and I don't feel like she was biased, but I think that once everything has been presented, she was so disgusted with him. She was just like disgusted with him. So after that, he was just like, he kept on saying over and over and over again, if we could just go on, like honestly, I don't know why we're here. We can just forget all this and go on with our lives. I'm just gonna forget that I even ever knew her. He kept on making those statements, and the judge was looking like, your nonchalant behavior towards what you've done to somebody else, we gotta make sure you don't just forget what you did, because you're not denying what you did. You just think that, I don't know why you think you're above it all, because you're not, but that was just the attitude that he had in the courtroom. Like this, I guess he thought he looked less guilty the more that he pretended to be unaffected by everything that I was saying and all the evidence that I had to present against him. So then he said that he had a witness, and he said that he in fact did not film the video, but that I filmed it in the weird angle that the video is filmed in. He said that I filmed it and that I sent it to his son's mother to try and ruin their relationship. And that's how he got the video, because she sent it to him. None of this makes any sense. Obviously, because you can see sent and delivered on all the messages. So he says that she's here in the courthouse and she's a witness. So in walks this girl that I was talking to on the phone, and I'm sitting here like, I really hope she's not about to get on the stand and lie for this man. Because you never know. You just never know. I've seen some crazy things. You don't know what someone's going to do when it comes to, you don't know when it comes to somebody's baby daddy. People do crazy things for their kids' fathers. I have never, but people do crazy things for, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being loyal, but when somebody is a dog, somebody is a dog. Don't let somebody drag you down just because you procreated with them. Like, I was heated. When she walked into the courtroom, I was pissed. My blood was boiling because I just knew she was about to get on this stand, and I knew I had the evidence against them, but I just could not imagine, I couldn't fathom witnessing a woman really sit up here and tell a bold-faced lie in front of a judge. But to me, after what this man was really sitting up here trying to do, and for all I knew, he had already leaked this video, and it just hadn't got back to me yet. Or maybe nobody drew the strings or concluded. I didn't know yet. I had no idea, because what was stopping him? He hadn't gotten served with that restraining order for almost 72 hours after what he had done. So I don't really know to this day if that video was somewhere floating around. While we were in court, the judge told him to delete it, but I don't know if he ever actually sent it to someone else or if he put it out somewhere. At the end of the day, he wasn't going to say that in court. But when she got on the stand, the judge asked, when she got on the stand, he said to her, didn't she send you that video? And she looked at me and she said, no. And I was like, you know when you're in such shock that you want to laugh, but you just don't know how to, like, you just don't know what to do. Like, you're trying, you know, you can't get caught laughing in the courtroom. But this was the moment that I had been waiting for, because when this man gave his description of me and what happened, he tore me to shreds. He ripped me apart. I mean, it doesn't matter that he was lying and that he was really just slandering the heck out of me. He had the right. It was his turn to talk. He gave his description of what happened and his series of events, and he had the right, even though I didn't like it, he had the right to say whatever he wanted to say about me, and he did, and I had to listen to him say that, following the fact that he was trying to destroy me, as far as I knew anyway. And the audio, that audio, when I heard that audio, when it happened, when I first heard it, I've never cried so, like, I've cried. Everyone's seen me cry plenty of times. All over my YouTube channel, I've cried. But I cried so hard because I've never heard somebody set out and mean mean, have intent to destroy me. Like, have intent to destroy me. I'm telling you guys, the audio is ruthless, it's reckless, it's harsh. It is not for the faint-hearted. But I saved it, and it's been like what, almost 3 years now since I got it. And I'm gonna use it to help raise awareness for other people, because I gotta show you guys the ugliest of all of it, for you to know how real this is, how dark, how ugly it is, and that it can happen to anybody. I'm hoping that somebody sees this video and goes, oh my God, that happened to you? It can happen to anybody. Don't think that anyone is exempt. This can happen to anybody. And everything that he said in that audio was completely falsified. I helped him because he begged me to help him. And basically, yeah, he begged, and he was lying about everything about his child. He just wanted to destroy this woman because he was vindictive. And I think he was seriously a narcissist. And so when this woman got on the stand, his son's mother got on the stand, and she said no. The judge elaborated and basically got to the bottom of that, and it was that he really set her up to get her on the stand, hoping that she would lie for him because he was desperate. Because he had already been to jail twice. This was like, it wasn't good for him. I think he was out on parole. It wasn't good for him to get for this to happen to him. And as a matter of fact, he was told before he left the courthouse that he needed to get a lawyer. And this was already settled. They gave me the restraining order. The judge was so disgusted with him that she said, I think that you are just mad because you tried to play both these girls and you tried to be with both of them, and you're mad that they're smarter than you. And he was just like dumbfounded. He was just dumbfounded because he just really knew he was going to win. Because for some reason, some people that go to jail, they think they know the law inside and out, and I really did expect that he would be smarter than that. But he didn't even try to fabricate. He didn't even try to alter. Like, he had nothing to work with. But he really didn't even try hard. Like, I'm not saying there was a way around that, but like, he really just, I guess he thought that he would never get to this point. I guess he thought that, like, he just didn't think that I would actually sit up here and actually get the court involved and get a restraining order against him. And leading up to me actually going to court, after I actually got the temporary restraining order in place and he was served, I had a security system put up in my house, had a camera put outside my house. I was so paranoid because I just felt like I knew that he had no loyalty to me because we had barely even known each other like that, and we didn't have any kids together. And I kept thinking to myself, like, am I the last straw before he gets put away? Like, am I the last straw that gets him put away for all the time that he was supposed to serve? Because I think that's what happens when you go on parole. But, so, that is the end of this Liberated event. I got my restraining order, and, yes, basically that is the end of this Liberated fan video. My camera is dying. And that is basically the story about the time that a guy tried to exploit me with this sexual video that I did not consent to him filming. So it was all classified as domestic violence, and that is why I'm sharing this with you guys. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up, give it a like, share it, comment down below, subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for watching. I told you guys I wasn't gonna cry. I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anything before my camera really shuts off and dies. Did I forget anything?